Hello, I'm Tim Wilde, and I wanted to share my thoughts, my wild thoughts, on the first week of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. I have become keenly interested, maybe personally invested in this trial, not having anything to do with it, but affected by it. Affected. It's had an effect in my life. Yeah. And I just want to get some quick thoughts out. Try not to make this too long. I just want to say, I think there's a lot of people out there who are very opinionated, and I'm not just talking about the woke movements or the Me Too movements or the cancel culture or the social justice warriors, all this stuff. The society we live in now, where it's the whole, especially if it's a male female situation or white male particularly, to blame to believe the victim no matter what, and just run with our social media pitchforks and torches and just do everything we can to shut them down, rip their lives apart, cancel them, and just destroy all the work that they've done their whole lives, and never let them resurrect from it. There's no forgiveness for celebrities a lot of times, especially if it comes to any allegation having anything to do with a sexual charge or assault. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit, not because I have my opinion, which just means everything, and as everyone should just believe me, and I'm not trying to get out here to express it to convince anyone of anything. I'm not. I think it's important to consider some thoughts, and I just want to share my feelings about it. I think it's important to consider that, one, the trial's not over yet. I just finished week 1. I'm on day 6 at the end of it, and I think they're in the 3 weeks now from when I'm recording this right now. I think there's a lot of people who just looked at headlines, and then they look at headlines of articles about the trial, and they automatically assume he's guilty. And not only do they assume that, they're posting that, they share that, they comment on it, and they get very volatile, hostile, aggressive, and I don't know how divisive this is becoming, because I'm staying away from any posts or anything about it. But I just observed that there's a huge heat about it based on either side. I think a lot of people are swaying over to Johnny Depp because of the things that are being expressed and shared and exposed. But there's a lot of people, even those people, everyone that cares enough to start spouting their opinions about it on social media should at least be watching the trial and paying attention to all of it, not just going off of headlines or articles about statements that are made out of context, trying to just illustrate one point or another. I think that there was abuse on both sides. The witnesses that have come in the first week included his sister, the medical doctors that were there helping both Amber and Johnny, working with him through detoxing and things from his addictions, and marriage counselors, security guards, people, friends of his that had been friends for years, people that were involved and knew the family, knew the relationship, and had been around for a long time, professionals that had worked with him and otherwise. And there's a long way to go. This is supposed to be estimated, I think, to be like a 6-week trial. This is week 2 or 3. I think they just finished 3. Anyway, my point is, there's still a lot going on. There's a lot of evidence coming out, a lot of witnesses and cross-examinations to come, and the jury is the one that's supposed to make the final decision, but we can construct our opinions. Not that it's all any of our business, but I think this is because it's such a public figure, both of them. It is important that we pay attention and think about it, because if she is right, then it's another example of things that we can learn from, and this just leans to the strength of this woman movement of women accusers, that we need to just be more attentive and adjust and adapt and change our situations, be more cautious of how we are in our own domestic relationships and marriages, that we can avoid and learn from the pitfalls of what happened with them and their trials, because the abuse goes both ways. That's one thing that's very clear in all the testimonies. It's not just his friends or close people invested because of their careers, and his career helps them succeed. A lot of people who have been around, including their marriage counselor and medical professionals, have observed that the abuse and the fighting, verbally assaulting each other, that has gone both ways. Excuse me. That's important to remember. I'm just going to say this. Everyone needs to just pay attention and learn from whatever they need to, because the reason this is important to me is because if Johnny is innocent, if it's true that he's never laid his hands, that's the allegation. He's never said he didn't verbally assault, argue, or whatever, but he never hit Amber, or definitely never sexually assaulted them. Then it's important to note that, because we can't always just believe the victim. That's ridiculous, because that's to imply that only guilty people would ever or accuse anyone of anything. It's ridiculous. Now, there have been cases that have proven this, but not like this in this profile, this high profile. So I think if people are going to be invested in the public to watch this trial and pay attention, then they need to watch the trial and pay attention, not just go off of some article and make their own conclusions or start spreading their decision and who they support and going into contention over it. It's crazy, because the evidence and the witnesses are still being released. They're still being presented. So everyone needs to just back off, process, and go through things, take their own emotions out of it, and decide for themselves what they think, and then let the law prevail no matter what they think. I am a very huge defender of the concept that you can separate art from artists, that and that's where your comfort level is, and it also depends on what the issue is of what the person is guilty of. If Johnny Depp comes out as guilty of this, am I still going to watch his movies? Yes. I do that with other celebrities and actors. Even though I have issues with their personal lives and their decisions and things they've done, I still can appreciate the art, because the art includes involvement and proceeds going to a lot of people that went into making that art possible. It's not just one person. Anyway, getting off track here. I just wanted to say this. From the first couple of witnesses and everything, it was very clear that there's a lot of people that have a personal stake here, because the thing that we need to remember in the public, that something that's really frustrating me, is how people are sharing comedic memes, pulling compilations of funny moments and putting goofy music behind it and putting it on YouTube just for fun, making a joke of this situation lightheartedly, like that it doesn't matter, that like just because he's rich and famous, he's Johnny Depp, he has all this power and wealth and influence and a platform, that it's good to like rip him down, whether he's guilty or not, whether he's proven guilty or not, to rip him down and make an example of him. It's ridiculous. It's unfair, and it's a devastating thing. It's a blow to him and his family, his children, and other professionals that work close by him and close friends of his, and Amber's. If it's true or not true, it doesn't matter. Both sides have a lot of people that are invested personally in this trial, and it's not a joke. It makes me mad that people are trying to be so funny about it, and just, yeah, he's trying to make lighthearted moments or situations, but you don't take those moments when he's on the stand and you see quick little memes of him saying something funny or laughing with the interviews or whatever, or laughing with the judge. Don't take that to think that this is easy and he's just having a good time. This is devastating. This is painful. This is exposing. This is brutally painful for him. This is emotionally scarring, but it's going to haunt him for years. This is humiliating. And some of the things he's had to share, some of the text messages and things that have been presented, it's horrible that's gone into the public eye. But in his opening questions, when he first took the stand, they asked him, why are you here? Why are you doing this? This is a defamation trial. This isn't a divorce court. This isn't about the abuse or anything. He's not facing going to jail or anything over these, from what I understand, about these allegations. This is just about whether or not the things she said were true, and how that has hurt his reputation, his career, his family, and his life in general, and those closest to him. I think that's a big deal. And he said, first and foremost, very passionate, very, very eloquently. If you watch little clips, it seems like he's like stoned or something. He's like burnt out and he like can't process thought. No, he's very articulate, very, very intelligent, very careful with what he says. He's responding a little slowly, but like whatever. There's a lot of weight, a lot of pressure. He's had a lot of experience, a lot of years of a certain lifestyle that have weighed down on him, obviously. But I've seen very good, very sharp men who went through situations and marriages and tendency or long patterns of abuse, like he has, very clearly he has with her, is as clarified by their marriage counselor and close friends and people that were very in place to observe and witness that, and everyone has the same opinion of how she treated him and he treated her, but the allegation is the physical assault. But definitely emotionally, she's been ripping on him for a very long time and is beating him down. I understand how that feels. I have experienced that before in relationships. What I was saying is that that he wanted to set the record straight. That was his point. That's why he's out here doing this, and that's why this is important for us. Because here's an example of if it comes out, if he's proven innocent, then we should learn from that and be like, we can't always believe the victim. And no matter how high profile the person is, you can't just go off of their worst possible rumors and say, well, that's the truth. They're just terrible people. He's going through a lot of suffering right now, and I feel for him. I felt for him because of his experiences and the things that he shared. Things about his childhood. Things about his mother punishing and beating them and assaulting them, that they had to live in fear when they would walk by. They'd have to like cower, because they were ready to get struck, and then you never knew when they were going to get hit, based on things like grades or whatever. Just like her frustrations, and this mother that was verbally assaulting and demeaning and just brutal emotionally to her husband, Johnny Depp's father, to the point where finally, and the behavior that he watched is things I've watched in my life when I was in a relationship, where I was continually assaulted and belittled and insulted and ripped down as a failure or terrible or ugly or fat or whatever, and having to just kind of cower away from those situations, those moments, and just try to retreat. Johnny Depp seems to have a very not a defeatist attitude, but he's a retreating approach or reproach to conflict. He tries to get away and get out of it. He doesn't want to sit there and be hammered verbally from someone, but he doesn't want to retaliate. That's not in his nature, I don't believe. But even if it is, he tries to get himself out of the situation, hides in other rooms, hides in bathrooms, goes to other properties, whatever he has to do to get away from the assault from Amber. This has been verified by other people who have witnessed and watched it happen. Multiple people, not just like his best friend or anything. I've seen that. Now, if people are saying that he's like just putting on this character and he's such a good performer that he's just drawing out all these emotions of the trial version of Johnny Depp, well, gosh, then he's the greatest actor in the world, because the things he's describing, the way he's talking about how his father behaved with his mother, who finally left, how he behaves with Amber Heard. Sorry, but he's exactly describing things I saw with my grandfather, who I watched as his wife, my grandmother, whom I love. I love my family. But he and my mother and my aunt, who we all lived together, verbally, out of frustration or impatience or intolerance or whatever, would rip on and sometimes physically assault my grandfather. Feeble old grandfather who was still trying to be the patriarch of the home, trying to love his family. He tried to be himself. He tried to be upbeat and high-spirited. He tried to have fun and try to make jokes. He tried to be serviceable. He tried to show love and everything to his grandchildren and anyone that showed up. He was kind of flirtatious. He was really fun. A good man, a faithful man that still would kneel down and say his prayers, read his scriptures, and fast as best he could, was still just ripped to pieces by the women in the domestic home. I watched this for years as I lived with them. The way Johnny Depp is expressing how he and his father behaved in those situations is how my grandfather behaved in those situations, and it's how I behaved in those situations for the most part. When I was being attacked, I just want to get away. I watched my grandfather. I was like, I would never do that. I don't know. I would never marry or be around or be with someone that treated me that way. I would never put up with it. I found myself in a similar situation years later as I grew up, and you know what? It's not just such a clean, easy decision just to like either get out of it or get divorced. And my grandfather lived in a time that wasn't really a practical option. I mean, you could get divorced, but it wasn't a socially acceptable thing, especially in our faith. But he dealt with it. He took it. He took the abuse to his death, And it wasn't, he didn't die because of it, and it wasn't like they were physically just hitting him all the time. I'm not trying to make this graphic or horrible depiction of my family, but there was definitely assault. There was pain that was exposed. There was domestic abuse going on. When at his funeral, at his viewing, when we first showed up, I was there. I drove my grandmother there, and she walked up to the casket in tears, bowed down, and kissed him, his dead body. I remember thinking that's the very first time in my life I ever saw them kiss was after he died. It's sad. He loved her. She loved him. I know that. But I'm just saying that there's behaviors, there's conditions, there's situations that just make it too hard to deal with in a domestic situation, in a relationship or a marriage like that of over 50 years. We can't blame everyone, and we can't just say that everyone deserves it, and we can't just say that we know all the things. I don't know everything about the relationship between my grandparents or other people involved, and other people don't know all the situations that I had when I was going through that similar thing. I just know that it wasn't a clean decision just to bail out and escape and get a divorce. It's like, well, why did Johnny Depp stay involved if she was doing that? So he must be lying, because if she was doing that, he would have done something about it. It's not that easy. I'm just saying we don't know. So we need to stop judging. We need to stop saying what should have happened and here's the facts because of what we're seeing as the outcome. I'm sorry. He's connecting with a lot of things that I remember from being a kid, being a little afraid of my mom at times because of being hit, because of that trauma, and how he felt about his dad leaving, how that feeling changed, his opinion of his father changed after he watched his relationship and how he was being treated by Amber Heard, which has been verified, like I said. It's so complex. It's complicated. You can't just decide who should have done what in hindsight or from an outside perspective. You can't do it. I'm saying there are things that Johnny Depp is expressing that are getting very personal to me. Things that I can relate to. Things that resonate to me to a point that I'm like, it's not that I just completely believe him, but I'm saying I think there's a lot more to the story or to this person that really brings the humanity out of him, that I'm seeing like a real human being that deserves some compassion, that deserves some empathy, just like Amber. If she lied about this whole thing, she also deserves a little bit of compassion and maybe some forgiveness and some tolerance. We in the public just need to just let the law deal with it and just observe it and mind our own business. If you're the kind of a person that has to cancel someone's art out of your life because of something that's going on publicly and in their personal lives, fine. Don't criticize other people who may not feel the same way. It's really painful. Last week I saw, or the other day I just saw this headline by, I'm going to say it because it frustrates me, but Howard Stern posted how he feels like Johnny Depp is a complete narcissist and he's just putting this on air or publicly so that so he can put on this show and this performance that can bring all this drama and all this sympathy towards him and everything. And I'm like, that's such crap. First of all, one of the most egotistical, name branding people, celebrities out there is Howard Stern. Like, he's a narcissist. He is so full of himself, and he knows everything about everyone. He's so experienced in Hollywood and knows everything about everyone, and he just is so opinionated. He's made a huge fortune and decades of success off of that connection with people and his knowledge of people and his communicating with people and his interviewing people. Great, good for him. I guarantee you that Howard Stern has not spent 7 hours a day watching the trial to make that kind of opinion. I guarantee it. He's going off of headlines or publicists or whatever things are being reported to him. Maybe he's watched little clips or sections of interviews. Maybe he's going off of his personal bias or feelings about Johnny Depp. I don't know. Maybe his feelings are about Amber Heard. Maybe he's just in favor of her. Or maybe he's just trying to just get some points for himself in the Me Too movement. I don't know. He wants people's fame or people's praise for his stepping up, standing against Johnny. I don't know. I don't care. I guess I care enough to make a point. I want to say it, but he kind of represents to me a lot of people on social media on any level who are making a big fuss and drawing the lines and making declarations of who's right or who's wrong or what the motivations are. If you want to have an opinion, then watch the whole thing. And if you want to state your opinion, maybe wait till it's all over. I don't have a conclusion yet on how I feel. I'm just making observations. I'm going to put one of these out for each week of the trial I watch. They won't be this long. But it frustrates me and it pains me that people treat this like this is a movie, like this is a cop drama or a court drama, and that they don't realize that these are real people, that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are real people, that they have the same human emotions and same feelings, they have the same depressions, anxieties, loneliness, betrayals. They have the same issues and things that require forgiveness and compassion from others that anyone else does on any level. Just because they're rich and famous doesn't mean that they are invincible, and it doesn't mean that they are not deserving of love and compassion like any other human being. They are our brothers and sisters. They are our brother and sister, and they deserve our love as family members. Let the courts deal with whatever the consequences may need to be, but he's there to clarify allegations, to state his cause, to bear witness to the world publicly about what he wants to set. He wants to set the record straight. That's critical. That's important, and that's personal. And bless him, bless Amber. That she can be able to present and share whatever the truth is. But in any case, there's real people in pain, and we need to remember that and kind of hold back on our torches and our candles, our torches and our pitchforks, and just step back at least till the trial's over. Let the witnesses be interviewed, let the cross-examinations, let the evidence be presented, and then with the evidence make conclusions, and then go forward in your life consuming whichever art of theirs that you want. I personally right now, I want to go back starting with 21 Jump Street and watch everything Johnny Depp ever did. Is that biased? A little bit. I guess that does say a little bit how I feel about how this is leading. I don't know. I tell you this, I have no interest in watching Aquaman for a long time, and I liked that movie. Sucks. I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry this went so long. If you watch this, great. I'm just, it's personal to me because there are a lot of things that are being talked about and shared, and they connect with me. They're on a personal level. And I didn't realize I was this invested. I watched her deposition last year where she's fidgeting and eating and acting all nervous and seeming very casual and kind of fake, like distant about, and kind of dense about her trial, and talking about where she admitted to hitting Johnny Depp in the face in self-defense allegedly, whatever. Watching that, I was like, oh, she's totally lying. You can tell from her body language or she's lying. So I went into this kind of with that thought, but I was like, no, it's not that simple. And I didn't give her, and I didn't care. I really didn't care about the trial up until I started watching it because I didn't know what was going on. That's why I'm 2 weeks behind. But from watching what they were expressing and learning more about the situation, learning more about the allegations, learning more about what she said that he did and how he's feeling and how he's responding to what she said, now I'm interested because I want to know the truth as well. I believe we all have the gift of discernment. We can pray for it, we can judge righteously, and we can make our own decisions based off of what truth is. We have the opportunity through the Spirit of God to recognize truth. Everyone has that light. Everyone does. And we just have to weed out our personal feelings, and I'm sure people will watch this and say, I've already made my decision, so I'm a hypocrite, or whatever. Put aside our personal bias and our assumptions and listen. If we care about this story, then listen and open our eyes to see and our ears to hear, and open our hearts to accept the truth. And I believe we will have discernment. And then leave it alone. Just learn from it for yourself. We don't need to be contentious and have conflict on social media or with our friends and stuff about this, because it's not our business. You can appreciate them as people however you want. But I support and I recognize the pain that they're both going through. And I wish them both well. I'm glad no one's going to be going to jail over this. But I hope they can both move on. Even their witnesses who saw the pain just want them to move on. Not like this is unimportant, but they just want them to be able to move past it and heal. That's how I feel. Hang in there, Johnny. That's all I'll say. I'm going into week 2. I'm not watching any headlines. I don't know exactly what the status is right now, how far they're in the trial or whatever. I know it's still ongoing. I'm going to try and keep up, and then I'll be able to watch it day to day like a lot of other people. I'm grateful for the position right now in my life where I can watch at work. Where I can watch and pay attention. But anyway, draw your own conclusions, but I'm just asking people to reserve their judgments and their criticisms until it's completely over, and then watch it, and then you can express whatever you want, of course. But I'm just saying, be gentle. Remember that we all need some